Booktube, it's Louise, Big Head Bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day wherever it is you are and whatever it is you're doing. Hello, welcome to my kitchen on a very gloomy day. It is misty and murky out there, and I'm here to tell you about some of the books that I'm getting rid of. Yes, it is an unhaul video, and I have sat here with just stacks and stacks of books. I don't know how many books we are getting rid of. Must be at least 60. So on a regular basis, I clear through my shelves. We live in a small 3-bedroomed house, which does not have endless capacity for books, and we have lots and lots and lots of books. Even though I regularly clear through my books, I seem to still attract the books, and the books come in, and it doesn't matter what I do, I get more books. I would love to keep all my books. There's one part of me that would love to keep all my books, and then the other part of me feels, no, you need to let them go free. If you're never going to read them again, you don't have sentimental attachment to them. I think it's that. I think it's if I'm not going to read them again, I don't have sentimental attachment to them, I didn't enjoy them, I'm never going to read them. I bought them thinking I would read them, and I'm never going to read them now because my taste has changed, or there's just new and other shiny books I want to read or want to reread. And so I clear through my bookshelves. I think if I had endless capacity, I would still clear through my bookshelves. I am not somebody that has massive attachment to the past. I am very much more of a gal for the present than I am a gal for the past, except when it comes to, quick ad break, spooky tales. So this is a lovely spooky tales month. We've got a couple of these. So I have the greatest honour to be in the podcast with my husband, and it's called the Spooky Tales Podcast. And if you'd like to listen to that, then you find it wherever you listen to podcasts. It's called the Spooky Tales Podcast by me and my husband, where we talk about spooky tales, the spooky tales that we love. So, yes, this video, I'm not going to go through all of the books, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the books, because at the moment in England we are in lockdown. We're coming out of lockdown soon, so I will get rid of the books, but I don't know how yet. They're going to go in a box with other books that are in a box, but it's going to be marked clearly to go. Books to leave. So we're going to go through some of these quickly. I just thought you might be interested in some books that I'm saying goodbye to. Bye-bye books. That's what this video is going to be called. Bye-bye books. So I'm just going to grab them and show them to you. So this is A Stranger in the House by Sherry Lapena. I don't know how to pronounce her name. This was a buy one, get one half price. I actually didn't buy this. This was given to me by my mother-in-law, and she was like, you might like it. I quite liked it. And I think at the time I thought, oh, I might like it, but actually it's a thriller I'm not interested in. I think I probably would have read it at the time, but I didn't, so I'm not going to. So You Want to Be a Wizard by Diane Duane. That's how I'm going to pronounce that. It's a small little pocket edition. It's not the normal size of A format. It's slightly smaller than that, slightly kind of taller and thinner than normal A format pocket books. But it is a middle grade, was written quite a while ago. And I bought it to read with my son, Benedict. 1983 it came out, or this edition came out in 1983, and neither of us really were that into it. We did a good 50, 100 pages. He wasn't bothered by it, I wasn't bothered by it, so we're going to get rid of it. So it's kind of his book. This is a book that actually I did read way back when. Philip Pullman, The Tiger in the Well. And this is Philip Pullman is the author of the Northern Lights trilogy, which we love, and I have got, and we're going to keep that, definitely. But I kept this because I thought Benedict might quite like it at some point, and he's just not going to be interested in it. and so I was keeping it for the sake of it. Ooh, Laini Taylor's Strange the Dreamer. I have tried to read this about 4 times, and last time I read it, I got up to kind of 100 pages, and I still wasn't into it. I know people rave about it and say how wonderful it was. I couldn't get into it, and I'm calling quits. There are other books that I'm more interested in reading, so this goes. Here we are. John le Carré's A Perfect Spy. My word, that's a big one. So my husband brought me this. He treated me to it. I love a good spy book. I do really like spy books. I was up to page 156 when I stopped reading this about 3 years ago. I gave it a good go. I found the tone of it, gave it a good whack, and I was struggling through it, and I thought, let's just not read that. Let's just not read that. As I said, I'm not going through all of these books. I'm just cherry picking the ones. Noah Hawley, Before the Fall. I really enjoyed this. This I thought was a really good book. It's a thriller. I read it when it came out in paperback. I wanted to read it when it came out in hardback, and then I bought it when it was in paperback. Good thriller. I'm never going to read it again. Somebody else might really enjoy this. Daisy in Chains by Sharon Bolton. It's another thriller. I've recommended it highly before. I would recommend it. I'm never going to read it again, so it's going to go. I haven't got all the room. But if you want a good thriller, Sharon Bolton is a very good author. I'm letting that go. Now, this is a surprise that I'm letting this one go. Sarah Walters, The Paying Guests. Huge fan of Sarah Walters' fiction. She has written Fingersmith and Tipping the Velvet and Affinity, The Night Watch, The Little Stranger. I have all of her books. This was the last paperback that I got 3-4 years ago. It's my least favourite. My least favourite out of all of her books. I did not love it. I read it set in 1922, which is completely the era that I love reading about. It's set in London. It's a mystery with some woman romance in there. It was lady romance. I don't know quite the way to say it. Wasn't my favourite out of it, and I was just keeping it to keep it with all of them, to keep the whole kind of the fact I had all of them and I had read it, but I really would never read it again. So that's going. I know, V.E. Schwab, who everybody's talking about at the moment because of the Strange Lives of Addie LaRue. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue that's come out. Now that I'm interested in reading. It's in hardback at the moment. I'll wait for paperback. V.E. Schwab's A Dark Shade of Magic. This is the first in a trilogy. I am not going to read it again. I am not going to continue reading with it. It was okay. I didn't love it. It's a fantasy book set around 3 Londons, a red London, a white London and a grey London, and somebody that can slip between the 3 of them. It was fine. It didn't thrill me. I'm not going to read any more of this. I haven't read this one and I'm not going to read it. Kitty Peck and The Child of Ill Fortune by Kate Griffin. This is a second in the series. I bought it on a whim for pennies. This was from a charity bookshop, and I'm not going to read it. So that's going to go. Oh, I've got 2 copies of this. I've got the entire series of this in Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I've got the whole of the Percy Jackson, the 5 books, and I'm keeping those, but I had a spare copy, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm getting rid of my copy of Dan Brown's The Inferno, which is a Dan Brown thriller, which I read. I am never going to read it again. I enjoyed the film, actually. I did enjoy this. I enjoyed the film as well. So Robert Langdon, it's a Robert Langdon thriller. I think I've got rid of the hardback of another one of his because it was ridiculous. This was ridiculous too. I'm never going to read it again. And I don't know anybody that is into it as well. So let's go. Whew, let's go on to some hardbacks I'm getting rid of. Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. I bought this from, I think, a supermarket when it came out. Or did the husband buy from a supermarket? I can't remember. I think I may have bought it. Can't remember how it came into my possession. I read it. I haven't actually read The Girl on the Train, and I have no interest in reading The Girl on the Train. But I read Paula this when it came out in hardback. I read it. It was fine. I'm never going to read it again. If you like your Paula Hawkins, you like your Paula Hawkins, but I ain't bothered. Peter Robinson. I have virtually all of the Peter Robinsons. I have an awful lot of them in hardback as well as in paperback. He is a writer of detective stories with DCI Banks, and it's set in the Peak District and North West England. They're wonderful. I've read them all. I will continue to read them. However, I'm not rereading them anymore, and I have an enormous box of them up in the loft, and they have been in the loft for nearly 3 years, and I've never had any urge to read them, and I'm not going to reread them, so I'm going to slowly get rid of my Peter Robinson, not my Peter Banks, Peter Robinson DCI Banks. So this was bought in a charity shop, The Good People by Hannah Kent. She is the best-selling author of Burial Rites. So Burial Rites was her first book, which was set in Iceland as the last known execution of a woman, or the last known execution in Iceland, and it's about that story. It was atmospheric and glorious. I enjoyed every word of it. This is her second book, and it's a lovely addition. It's set in County Kerry in Ireland. I have no urge to read it. I bought it thinking I would read it. I think when I got it for like £1, I had urge, but I have no urge now. So that is going. This is such a nice book, and I really, really, really wish I could get into it. I have tried so many times. See What I Have Done by Sarah Schmid. I mean, I really do want to keep it because it is such a beautiful book. Look at this book. Look at it. It's just delightful. However, I've tried so many times. It's the story of Lizzie Borden. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she'd done, she gave her father 41. See What I Have Done. Couldn't get into it. Just couldn't get into it. I have tried numerous times. Can't get into it. It's going. Peter Mays, The Man with No Face. I don't think I paid full price for this. I really don't believe I would have. I think it is signed by the author as well. The Man with No Face. I have read this. I read it when I got it, when I was reading quite a few Peter Mays at the time. Thriller writer set in Brussels. Reaching back into the distant mists of my memory. It was an okay thriller. I'm not going to read it again. That's a lot of them, actually. It was okay. Not going to read them. Now, this is a recent read. City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. She's quite hit and miss, isn't she, Elizabeth Gilbert? I kind of liked them at the time, and then afterwards I kind of go, not sure about them, if I'm honest. And I'm being honest with you here. However, so this is her latest one. It is now out in paperback. I enjoyed it when I read it. I'm not going to read it again. Somebody else might like it and will enjoy it at some point. God in Ruins by Kate Atkinson. Now, I would love to keep this because my mother-in-law sent it to me. And I kind of sentimentally, I would like to keep it. It's the sequel. Is it a sequel or is it a companion novel to Life After Life? I have got the paperback of Life After Life, which I read, and I am keeping that at the moment because I did enjoy it, and I may well read it again. I love the concept of Life After Life, though. This is contemporary literature. However, it is set in... Life After Life is set in the beginning of the 20th century, and this kind of continues it. It takes a different character. I'm never going to read it. I keep looking at it, and I picked it up and just not got any with it. This is books that I've kept for Ben because I thought he might like them. They're Charlie Higson. They are young Bond books, Blood Fever and Silverfin. I think Silverfin's the first one. It's the boy before he came James Bond. So it's James Bond before he was James Bond. I have read both of them. They're very good, kind of middle grade thrillers, but I'm never going to read them again. Anthony Horowitz, Night Rise. Who will live to see another day? This is shiny. This is the first in a new series called, is it The Power of Five? Oh, look. Dun, dun, dun. Actually, it's not. It's book 3. That was good. Probably should have realised it's book 3. I thought I'd read the other ones. Or maybe I just... Yeah, The Power of 5, book 3. I have read the first one in the Alex Rider series. I thought Benedict... I don't know why I was keeping this. I think I thought Benedict would be into it at some point. He's not. He's not really into thrillers. We've tried it numerous times, but he's not really into it. The Dark Rising. The Dark Rising sequence. Oversea Under Stone. Oh, we read this with Benedict. Benedict and I read it together. And whilst we enjoyed it, we tried the second one. I can't remember what the second one's called. Is this the first one? I can't remember. Yes, this is the first one. And the second one is called The Dark Rising, I think. And we just couldn't get into it. Just couldn't. So we're going to... I keep saying to Ben, do you want to read it again? He's like, nope. So, moving on. The Witches of New York by Amy McRae. I tried it so many times. Couldn't get into it. Stuart McBride, The Missing and the Dead. It's a thriller, which has done nothing for me. So, The Blood and Beauty by Sarah Dunnant. This is about the Borgias. I loved one of her books, which is called, if I can find the name of it, Sacred Hearts. Oh, it's one of my favourite books, actually, and it has such a meaning for me because I read it and then I gave it to my mum when my mum was alive, and she read it and she adored it, and we would talk about it together. And I saw this somewhere and I thought, I'm going to pick this up, and it just doesn't do anything, just never got into it. Sometimes some authors, it's just one particular book which speaks to you, and I will always keep Sacred Hearts, but I'm not going to keep that. Oops. Not going to read it. This is a romance I've read called Scandal. It's in the Scandal and Scoundrel series, A Scot in the Dark. It's the second book in the series. I have the first book on my Kindle. I'm never going to reread. It's a saucy romance. Susanna Gregory's. This is set in London in 1662. It's a restoration murder mystery. Not into it. Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. I did this in Reader First Chapter. And I read the first chapter and it was okay, but it's a YA that was big a couple of years ago, and I'm never going to read it now. Ooh, I don't know how people are going to feel about this one. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I know, everybody loves it. It's so beloved of Booktube. Not for me though. I tried it so many times, and then the last time I got to probably about there. Oh, just no. It's a high fantasy. It's a fantasy book, and it's kind of, the kind of magical university, and people adore it, and I didn't. Moving on. Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. I bought it because somebody on Booktube, I think it was a Book Olive, adored it. And it's a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, though it's crimson brown, but it's very red and very green. And I loved the cover, and I loved the idea of the book. And I read it, and it was fine. And I have no urge to continue with the series. Tempted to keep it because it's so pretty, but I haven't got the room for that. Oh yes, here we go. The Dark Rising. This is the second of the series. Yeah, didn't love it. We got about halfway through it and Benedict was just like, no, I've had enough. Blood and Sugar by Laura Shepherd Robson. What's this about? It's a traditional... it's a historical crime. Tried it a couple of times, couldn't get into it. Most of these books I've tried a couple of times and not got into, or I've kept them for years and I'm never going to read them again. Why have you gone dark? There we are. Rules of Vanishing, Kate Alice Marshall. I got halfway through it, I'm not into it. It's YA. Fiction. Do you want to play the game? I said about it in a couple of videos ago that I was never going to carry on with it. Oh, I know. I'm keeping Mistborn, but this is the second book. It is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. I really enjoyed Mistborn. This one, yeah, I'm not going to continue on with the series. It's a chunky one. Oh, I know. I kind of feel bad that I don't want to read this. So this is the second book in the Mistborn series, The Final Empire. I am keeping for the time being. Am I ever going to read it again? I don't know. But I didn't love it. I'm not sure Brandon Sanderson's for me. I know for a lot of people he is the one that they turn to, but not for me. So yeah, feel a bit bad about that, but you know, somehow I'll get over it. And although I have other books, some of these are actually the husband's books. Some of these books we were given to us, and we're never going to read them, and we just got rid of them. That's it, really. That's all I'm going to really show you. That's quite a whiz through some books that I am getting rid of. As I say, we've still got loads more. I'm going through my shelves, and I'm being a bit more ruthless. As I say, I do this on a regular basis. I go through my shelves and I say, what have you done for me lately? And make the book justify why it has to be here. No, I don't. I'm going to say thank you to all of these books. They have been great. But it is time for them to spread their little wings and go and find somebody else that will love them more than I do. There we go, Booktube. I hope you enjoyed it. Controversial. If you could ask me to keep one book, what would it be? And what very, very popular book have you got rid of, much to the shock of other people? What's the one book that you just went, I can't get on with it? And Booktube would come around your house and bang on the windows and say, how dare you? How dare you do that? Yes, I would say either this would probably be the one for me out of all of these. Right, this has been lovely, Booktube. Let's do it again.